Hi, this is David Brager, and this is my fourth entry to my video website since I changed it over to being how to play the role as a computer game for the protection of your kids and everybody. So on the news, they had a stabbing of a rabbi in New York, and I went online and found that the assailant had come from Harlem. Now, I applied internet tools to history and found a double cross in progress using a battery of massive gnosis tools on the public and people who are not understanding of how communications are being abused are getting all riled up and going out and doing things to Jews without realizing that they've been double-crossed. And so I've been having to educate anybody that looks like they need to know what I know, so that using torpedo logistics, let me show you how the matrix works in relation to the internet. So this is how I've been dealing with, even though you have a three-dimensional world, and a plane of space-time above you, below you, and everybody on the planet is on one sheet of time. And so if you take an idea from your head and you send an email to a person with a new idea, you create a web of influence. And this is very powerful when you need people who need to know what you know so that they don't do anything. You want people to do nothing. Be still, because what you then watch is a whole bunch of rich bastards bug out. And then nothing happens. John Kerry announces, my wife Debbie Hines and I are going to South America all next year. Who in the fucking hell cares? And then they dump a census form that you absolutely positively have to fill out, and it only takes a couple hours. No, it took days. And we've had to call the city utilities department, and they had sent everybody off for the holidays. They didn't know this was coming. This was done to attempt a civil war. These people are doing game design. And then they sell the U.S. national debt to China. And that's the point when I got really pissed off. And I sent a fax to the Washington, D.C. Embassy of China and said, I apologize for the paper, King David. These tools were supposed to arrive in Egypt, Greece, and China when they'd been in pyramids, Parthenon, and Great Walls. And had they arrived, there'd never been Jews, promised land of world peace, and we would have had computers 3,000 years ago. So, with the return of the two commandments, the 8 rules, this is the yin-yang. To make this next decision in this gaming world reality, will my mind ever let my body lie, escape with dishonor, torture, steal, overwork, adulterate, or kill? Notice that everything on the right hand is material requiring left hemispherical processing. Everything on the left hand is purely ethereal, requiring right hemispherical processing. This is the yin-yang. It was supposed to arrive in China thousands of years ago. And when we arrived, we had a document which reads how pork was unclean. And my ancestors arrived, and they took us to the shelf and said, go to Japan and get the fuck off our property. And we ended up in Japan. They didn't tell us to go to Japan. They said go that way, basically. It would seem to be the way we went. We had no idea that we carried an alien life form pupa that was just fucking with us because we were stupid and picked it up. But I have to introduce you to the Holy Ghost because this intellect is playfully mean. And that's because it's actually intelligent. How do you write a Torah set a trap for George Bush and lay it on the shoulders of Bill J.D. for 3,000 years? We've been looking at time wrong. There's only the now. There's not days, there's only the now. And so when you perceive time in the now, in a sheet of space-time, if you have an idea, send it to whoever can most benefit from it. Give it to them for nothing. The money will never get there, but honor pays bills money can't touch. And if you send it to somebody and bring a smile to their heart, smile to their fart, oh my God. Shades of Jackass just flashed through my mind. Anyway, I'm here to protect the meek. Anybody that plays war using money as tentacles, the money reads, in God we trust, because in a crisis we don't trust the money. We trust Marines who don't do what they're doing for money. They do it for the honor of being Marines. And my best friend's a United States Marine, and we used to get bullied by people in elementary school, so I know what the bullies used to look like, and who knew that they were going to grow up in organized to Skull and Bones and play the whole world as a computer game for everyone to die in Armageddon is written. They hadn't considered, if you didn't write Armageddon, and you're using a battle plan that you didn't invent, and a bunch of tools you didn't write for an outcome you didn't, maybe things aren't as they seem. And so when I realized that Muhammad rose from the paper King David to perform the duty of the second quest in the Torah, and with Mega built a down siphon in quantum communications, consider what a black hole looks like in fourth dimensional logic. It's here next to you, and you're watching it, and it's in one phase of space-time somewhere in the cosmos, but it's there. And with Mecca, everybody brought their problems and their divisional logistics, and he washed their souls. And they looked around and saw, we're just one species. We're just one planet. There's something wrong out there. Muhammad taught a species how to be a species by bringing them together and washing away the divisions. And that's the lesson to the family of David. He's doing battle with the son of a bitch who wrote the Torah. What we had before the Torah was wiser. And so if that rabbi that said, well, Jesus is going to fix us, Jesus and Christ are titles. This man earned titles. His name was Joshua Bar Jacob, according to, who wrote Claudius? Anyway, Sir Derek Jacobi was doing this performance, and that's where I got it. And it has served to be a consistency. Joshua Bar Jacob attempted Elijah to wrestle the family away from the Torah because the Torah is Jumanji. Einstein's special theory of relativity turned up in movies. Take a piece of paper and draw a line across the front, and to your left, write the past, and to your right, write the future. And then flip it over and draw another line, draw a dot in the middle, and lay all movies and stories and books that you see, and from your dot in the now, going backwards in space-time, who's the playwright for each of these movies, draw from their point to the beginning and end and write what movie it is. And then if you see something in your mind that's in any three stories or movies or books that look like a nightmare coming at you right now, figure out who can stop it and send them to tinyurl.com/upgrading patriotism so they get how to hack a 42-point puzzle in the Gospels, the tools to teach how to assess space-time, how to use the tools, and how to have fun. We're doing Hypnosis Dungeons & Dragons. I did all this for a fantasy game. Charlie Brewer, who taught me hypnosis, was a U.S. Army Air Corps warrant officer supply pilot. I took the ASVAB. I was born XXY with Klinefelter, and the U.S. Army said no due to my health. And so when I found terror meters from the Bush White House using mass hypnosis on the public, having learned hypnosis from a U.S. Army Air Corps warrant officer, and having tried to get into the U.S. Army, when I saw Bush order U.S. Army personnel to Guantanamo Bay to torture, that's the point where I said, okay, now I've got you by the balls. And I had to do this so I can teach Iran right now why they need to scream Marines to the top of the lungs. The United States Marine Corps are going to kill a problem that in the United States we didn't know was here. What a Torah does to a Jew is it grows a mold of ugliness over us because people hate the Torah and anyone carrying it. All we wanted was goodness and mercy to follow us all every day, so it's not happening. When I found George Bush doing this, he grew a mold over the honor of the Marine Corps, so he made the USA look nukeable. Why? Because if he can overthrow the government using a double cross that had worked so well to turn Palestine into Israel by securing loans beneath a very innocent surprise Adolf Hitler. Hitler had nice friends, Gandhi, Walt Disney, and Henry Ford. Three wise men do not make friends with wicked people. What nobody saw was Prescott Bush wormed his way into this man's life, and then started fucking with the relationship this man placed in the trust and solid ground. He plied him with hard drugs, not cannabis. We're talking about cocaine and other things like that. They are all opioids. And cocaine's not an opioid. I'm a fucking idiot. Sorry, opium and morphine and heroin, those types of things. Anyway, if the people who sell the one high wonders knew about the hypnosis suggestion of water into wine, they would never have invested a single dollar in any of these things. If they knew hypnosis, they would never have wasted their lives investing in these things, because with the delivery of the rapture and all these tools in plain sight, take the feelings that you consider when you're doing discussions with people who've used meth, which I haven't done. They talk about it has this great high, and it plateaus, and then suddenly goes this horrible low, and then these people dig their lives out, and then they get back to some semblance of normal. Well, with hypnosis, they can take the one thing they like the most and attach a word to it, just like happy has a word, and fantasy has a word, and greatness has a word. If these words have feelings that you have attached to them, you feel them, and they draw you into how the subconscious associates values that are not numbers. This is why when you look at the Torah, the way it's written, half of Exodus, Moses goes up Sinai, comes down Sinai, and this is the worst writing in the whole book. Previous before it is manna, which is the best writing in the book, and then we use Passover to pass over the continuity here. Seriously, the author of the Torah is like your meanest college professor. I'm going to teach you something you never learn. What? That you should have left the Torah on the ground and run like hell? Gaijin, which is destroying the Orient, was once our gentility. Ooh, look, the Jews are doing that. Must be a good idea. No. If you don't let me take responsibility for the fuck up of leaving a game out in public, the problems with this world will never go away. But for George Bush to act like he's the burning bush, use the Patriot Act to attack the Constitution virally, while he let Dick Cheney build FEMA guillotines and 2 billion coffins and trains with shackles, I've had Gordon Duff as my sounding board through this whole project, and he gets all the credit so that the Marine Corps shine, because he got to read Majestic 12, and Majestic 12 tells about how Majestic, these people grew a mold over Q clearance and created this new group of fucking idiots, and they're infected by whatever caused someone to write a Torah, and the Marine Corps are going to wake up, judge where they stand, and judge everyone. And those very few that exude the torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie are caught by whatever caused someone to write a Torah, and everybody else forgive them for they don't know what they do. You're just a kid in a playground, and nothing is written. 2 commands, 8 rules of Marines in the streets of heaven are patrolled by Marines. Welcome to heaven, something went wrong. Search YouTube for unidentified flying humans and search for David Blaine and Dynamo Magician Impossible doing levitation. They're going straight up and straight down without wires. But what they're doing is consistent with technology. Technology goes up and down. So we're looking at 2-dimensional logic across 4-dimensional planes and 6-dimensional constructs of 8-dimensional communications. And it's all being done by the mind. And it's all part of you. It's not hypnosis. Humans are cyborg. You're in a gaming world going into chaos. And I bring the best tools money can't buy, because before, in the business, you could give away the razors to sell the blades, but I'm doing this so that I earn a Nitro Circus hat, because Robert Pastrana is a United States Marine, and he's got a bunch of kids on his property and on his kids' property that if you can do born again, I have a whole bunch of Marines that would be healthier and healthier and healthier for no money, which the Marine Corps have no budget. Why? Because the Founding Fathers knew eventually somebody was going to find this puzzle, learn how to use this stuff, go to the Marine Corps and say, I work for you. We'll get this shit working, and you guys are the X-Men. We're going to get this shit working so that you discover why you want to be the best of the good guys. As you interface with the Matrix, you get access to everything. And you can breach the barrier between fantasy and reality and bring the stuff into this reality, as long as you define what the limits are for reality. Love your enemy. How? With 2 commands and 8 rules, the enemy is only in your mind. Never be the enemy of any Marine. However, you let the Marine Corps run the games, and it's going to get interesting around here. But I did this whole thing so a friend of mine can get a proper review of his court-martial because his NCO violated creed. Consider, it is in the creed of the Marine Corps that your weapon is to be clean. The NCO was supposed to bring Mr. Mefford his weapon, and the weapon he brought was his own weapon, which was dirty. And so the NCO's weapon caused the battalion crack shot to fail to win the competition, and he grumbled about it publicly a lot. He had his God-given right because the NCO had violated creed. None of this stuff came up in the court-martial. What did come up in the court-martial was that the NCO's hand had been busted, but what didn't come up is that the NCO then took his busted up hand and reached into my friend's pants in front of 3 other officers and squeezed his balls, doing a complete violation of the war game that had been established for a fight with bare fists and bare feet. The breaking of the enemy's weapon is consistent with the war game. My friend violated Marine conduct because you do not break U.S. military property, but for the NCO to then violate creed again and squeeze this man's balls, that's third-grade mentality in front of officers, and that's a no-no. You do not dishonor the Marine Corps like that. That's just plain wrong. My friend got back from 6 months at hard labor, and his bunk was covered with high honor bourbons that he did not need. But they were not showing, anybody could buy Monarch. This was not Monarch. He was showing honor. And I'm hoping that these people will show up when this show hits the road. I want to go out and entertain the truth. Bob has epilepsy now, which I attribute to the waters at Lejeune. These guys never thought they'd get caught. So they never fixed the waters at Lejeune because Armageddon's a sure thing as long as the Marine Corps continue to let them live. And if you can do Fishes and Loaves and Rays and Dead, then we got to go get Patrick Swayze. And obviously, you can see who George Bush is. Bye-bye. Duke and Duke, or Bush and Bush, as President Obama and I are Valentine and Winthrop in Trading Places. It's a really good remote view of this corridor. And I did all this stuff so that everybody's going to smile because this stuff is fun. I contacted the Louvre. Remember in Ghostbusters 2, Lady Liberty trots her ass across the bay and smashes that goo that has grown over the you've got the Museum of Art there. And by contacting Louvre, I said, Leonardo da Vinci found this puzzle long before I did. He's painting that everybody in history had found this sent signals of 42, or Douglas Adams just flat told you the ultimate answer, the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42. You're looking for any 3 concepts where 2 are set apart from 1 in 2 different ways. Fishes and loaves and raisins dead. Fish and loaves are food. Fishes and raisins dead can be grown from a single cell. What the hell would you need to go, here you go, here you go, welcome to heaven? You need matter-rearranging technology. The teleporters are here. They couldn't risk the good stuff to fall into bad hands, so a trap was set for George Bush on the shoulders of Bill Legit, and time passed. Meanwhile, Gates of Pearls came bombed with pearls before its line, sent 2,000-year-old reconnaissance on Bill Gates' Pink's plane. Marines arm up. You have a coup in progress. You didn't see it because these sons of bitches acted like they wrote the Torah. They hadn't considered the Torah was a trap. Before you break out the really cool shit, you set a trap for the meanest sons of bitches, and you make them obvious to the Marines who seek out close with and destroy the enemy, which is a barrier between fantasy, logic, and reality. These people have crossed the lines, and you will determine who dies. In the game of Armageddon is written 482 years of Marines are my flock. That's what I've been trying to do, is deliver the best tools that money can't buy. On the last story in the first Darwin Awards book, I want to bring a smile to your heart while delivering factual data. But the difference between hypnosis and standard communications is the flow of data. If you do a game using hypnosis, all you have to do is drive game. All the other stuff you let your user, your guest, the person who has arrived to experience the experience, drive everything else. How? There's a house on the hill. What color is it? As you approach it, somebody comes out the door. Who is it? You smell something wonderful coming from the kitchen. What is it? As you go inside and taste it, what does it taste like? As you drive story, the imagination fills it in, fills it in, fills it in, and you bring a person into their subconscious mind. You have the ability to escape reality at will. The entire field of psychology is going to have to readdress the game and the technology here. Your mind remotely controls your cyborg avatar on the surface of this planet, this computer game going out of whack. 2 system commands, 8 rules. To make this next decision, if you do not lie, then you expect from here to eternity ahead of you in space-time. If you do not scapegoat, you take responsibility for every mistake you find backwards in space-time. Forward in time, backward in time. If you do not dishonor, you expect the peace you keep with other people as you travel with them in time. If you do not torture, respect the wake you leave behind you in time. Notice how these are paired. If you do not steal, you respect the burdens that other people have placed themselves before they arrived in time. If you do not overwork, you respect the burdens you add to them as they leave in time. If you do not adulterate, you respect the rights of others to making their own chaos in their own lives through time. And if you do not kill, you respect the rights of others to having chaos in their own lives in time. Notice how those are paired. Now, these are not 2 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. This is an entire language. If you feel a problem and you signal a problem, it goes from your mind to your error channel to their eyes, and nobody talks to anybody. A common language for a species. This is much wiser than the Torah. Tower of Babel wasn't the bad choice, it was the wrong choice. Kingdoms, coinage, customs, and cubits weren't the bad choice, they were the wrong choice. 2 commandments and 8 rules, and Marines is the right choice. Wake your sleeping giant of 482 Marines who seek out close with and destroy the enemy, and you'll sleep like you've never slept before. If anything ever terrorizes you in a dream, you'll test these tools, and you find any violations, you'll know you're asleep, because these things will never happen on earth as it is in heaven. Welcome to heaven. Something went horribly wrong. This is apparently a gaming world going out of chaos. I want to thank the Council of 5 for all their help, and apologize to Council of 9 this took so damn long. I want to thank the ITV people for recording, and whoever stuffed that recording of the Vrillin transmission. There's a lot of good data there. I want to thank the Russians for producing the Alien Races book, and whoever those people were that translated it into English and stuffed it on the internet. Thank you very much. There are parts of that book that, with Google Earth, make sense now. There are lines on your planet, and suggest you follow them. They go to Google Earth latitude 8 south, 108 west. With an eye altitude of 420 miles, you see a shin on the bottom of the ocean with a ratio of 4 to 1 left and 2 to 1 across the top, 42. And northwest is a signature, first initial dot, last name, over 100 miles long and wide. We're on a science experiment for a child of God who built a planet and stuff, humans on it. Bye! You are a child of God. God couldn't risk the good stuff to fall in the bad hands, but trapped us there for the most wicked in time past. And those very, very few who exuded torture and dishonor and escape and lie, laying the worst imagination, have full access to their avatar. And that's the problem, because there's a shared imagination. That's how Einstein's special theory turned up in movies. You're in high tech going into chaos, and miracles do not come with price tags. And I figured that after what happened with the internet, I figured the parents would teach their kids, and what happened was that the kids taught their parents because they adapted to the technology easier. Well, the kids are playing on skateboards and stuff and getting the shit kicked out of them. If they can do Born Again, they need this stuff, and that's why I did it to get half from Nitro Circuses. We get this shit working. Everything that they're working on, they can enjoy indefinitely and spend time with their friends indefinitely. And we got to go get Ryan Dunn and everybody else. It wouldn't be heaven without Robin Williams. It wouldn't be heaven without Rodney Dangerfield. You got to go, but you got to go get your protectors first. I worked for the Marine Corps first, so that's what I'm working on. So there's the shooting in Iran, and I contact the it's a organization in, I can't see it. Anyway, there's a organization of diplomacy, international diplomacy in Iran. I sent all these tools and said, you're looking at a globally engineered double cross. I need you to see what Muhammad was supposed to do. Here are the tools. Here's everything I've got. I sent all this stuff to the, what is it called? The church, I think it's called the Church Club in in New York City. These are the nicest, richest people in New York City. And when they see how 4 stopwatches with 9/11 reveal seismographs set to countdown timers set to explosives, they discovered Texans playing war, using Armageddon as a war field on their hometown. And they're going to be pissed as hell because they're going to wake up the Marine Corps. And Einstein hangs on a cross and sees a double cross and sent tools to teach how to see through time. That's pretty fucking courageous. But for this to be the start of Starfleet, at the right time when we're ready for some fucking answers and we're tired of dealing with this shit. I no longer own David Brager for President.com, but I gotta tell you, if you're ever pissed at POTUS like now, this is the best investment because world leaders, when they're terrified of the president, will listen to anybody they think is legitimate. And I don't want to be president. I just want to fix the fucking government because we were attacked by people who created paperwork to force us to pay them to ship it. They are invested in opium and oil, writing defective policy and lying as a team to enslave the whole USA so they can profit from our suffering. They completely overlooked that by using the Torah as weaponry, the Torah had an out if someone rose to Aquarius. So I did this to fuck Bush in a way he's never going to dismount. And he's going to be, as soon as he sees this video, he's going to rush to probably try to set off the fracking, and Bill Gates is going to probably try to set the internet time service to 99999. And everybody, they're going to, and if the real estate drops shelf, if you feel the earthquakes, just blame it on these bastards. They attacked Japan in our name for something as stupid as money. And they are the mortal enemy of every Marine that's ever lived. And that's dumb. But they did it anyway. And they set it off. This is where you know that the Marines are going to say, they did what? They set they threatened Japan on 03/09/11. And they set it off on, get this, every Marine on the United States Marine Corps anyway are 0311 riflemen. So they set this off on 03/11/03/11 so they could take the child in the playground and rub their nose up and down their ass crack again. And they're playing with Marines this time. And there's a bunch of guys that are in a gaming club in Okinawa that, at least for a while, were following me at Twitter. And they need to realize that this is real, and I've got their back. Every time anyone in the world was pissed at the USA, I've been sending this stuff to people and saying, you need to know. When I worked at McDonald's from 1977 to 79, there was a guy that worked there, and I don't want to relate his name right now, but he was one of the nicest, kindest, gentlest people, and what was happening in Iran was affecting his life in a very negative way. And Donald Trump has people close to him giving him bad advice, and they're trying to rile him up to a preemptive nuclear strike on Iran. Because with the WikiLeaks, the alien interview revealed that there was going to be a preemptive nuclear strike in 50 years, but I've changed history at least twice. On 656, I called the FBI Anti-Terrorism Unit. I have a question about the towers. I could hear this agent's eyes roll up into his head as he began droning on and on. No, not a question about the towers. Have you ever run bomb-sniffing dogs through the remaining towers of World Trade Center? Goodbye, and slammed down the phone. They'd found an Al-Qaeda unit coming in from Canada and didn't know where they're headed. But the King of Saudi Arabia shows no sign of knowledge of these tools, because otherwise he'd be causing problems and bugging out. He's not. He's in the mix of the shit with everybody else. But all the attackers are coming from Saudi Arabia, and the architect of the World Trade Center built the Saudi Arabian airport, then World Trade Center, and the Saudi Arabian treasury. And Einstein hangs on a cross, and Muhammad is sending tools so that I can get the family together and get, this is a fair family fight, the family of David versus the burning bush, while gates of pearls combined with pearls before swines and advanced data on Bill Gates being swine. Muhammad is family. We need to unite the family against one common enemy, chaos, and anyone using chaos as weaponry. And nothing else matters. 2 commands, 8 rules. We go back to being the children of God, or we're Marines, or the religious police in Riyadh. or we're history. Just be a child. 2 commands, 8 rules, Marines. There's no other rules, no books, no burdens, no leadership, no tithing, no slavery. Increases intellect, decreases chaos, leaves peace in your way, protects your children. It's simple and it's fun.